Frank, you can start.
Okay, fine then. Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased and very happy to see you. And well, you see me first, and you can you can see me maybe better now. Well, I'm not really used to these video meetings. As I said yesterday to Kevin, I was working in a school. I learned everything at school. It was all through high school, but not for the video and things, or what is about this. So welcome in the small region of Bugey. And I will slowly introduce you to the region, and then we will have a small walk in the vineyards. In probably then after, I hope you will have a few questions to help me. So just a quick look to the map. Then I'm coming back to the map that we just fixed on the cellar, on the door of the cellar. And this is France. This is a ticket from Metro from New York. This is Louis Dressner. This is Franck Peillot from Theo Bonnard, my partner. I will tell you further that I've got now a partner, not in crime, but in business. And the Bugey region is here. So if you can see France, this is in the east of France, very close to Geneva, which is here, the Lake of Geneva, close to the Savoy wines, not very far from my friend and from the Beaujolais, and of course Jean-Paul Brun, because if I forget Jean-Paul Brun, each time I say Jean-Paul Brun, I get $10 in my pocket. So Jean-Paul Brun, that's $20, thank you. And this region of Bugey is situated down of the bottom of the Jura region. That would be maybe a bit better if I show it on a map with the relief. Thank you, Theo, for all the job you're doing. Many people, maybe probably all of you have seen it. When I go to the States, I always bring my map. But this is the relief. This is the Jura region. This is the town of Lyon, Geneva, as I told you, and the Jura Mountains. So even if our wines are not related to the way of making of the oxidated wines from Jura, we are on the soil of the Jura at the bottom. Montagneux is really just here, in the small village here. The Bugey has got 3 spots. There is one spot near Belay, which is a quite flat area coming from the glaciers of the Rhône. All of this was part of the Jura, even close to Chambéry in Savoy. So Belay region, the region of Montagneux, where the slopes, these are the last slopes going down to the west, and the region of Cerdon. Hello, Renard-Lafache family. Okay, so we will now go a bit further, because all this you can find it in the books, but probably you can't see exactly what the Bugey is. So we are today in a very nice weather, a bit windy. It's 6:30 at home. And well, weather is clear, everything is nice, and everything is fine for the vineyards. We had a long period at the beginning of we had a long period at the beginning of the year where we were really frightened by the frost, because during the wine shots begin, the buds begin to come the middle March, and well, even the 1st April was already dangerous due to the frost. When you know that it can be freezing almost everywhere in France till 15th of May, the thing we call les Saints de Glace, ice saints. It's a period that is always cool, the 11, 12, and 13, I think. But this year, everything went very well. No frost, quite a lot of rain after a very dry winter, which means that was a good thing for the vineyards. We also planted new vineyards, and the new vineyards need water. After this very warm weather, today was about 28 Celsius at midday, which is very nice for the time of the year, for not even a month of June. So we now are getting in the vines themselves. We can maybe just have a look at the background. You can see, I hope you can see the big mountains. This is the small castle of Montagneux. Little on the left, you've got a small hill with an older castle, and at the background you can see mountains on the left and on the right, and in between, in the kind of hole, that's Grenoble, the third town, which is not very far. Lyon is about 60 kilometers, Grenoble 90, and Genève 80 to 90. So as you can see, well, I will just climb into the vineyards. I do not have the right shoes at the moment, I realize, but never mind. So you've got here, sorry if my eyes are not very good, well, very good, because I've got the sun in my face. So you've got the two ways of growing the vineyards, the two different ways of growing the vineyards in Montagneux. The ancient way, which is one stock and one vine. At each vine has got a stock, a pole. Each vine stock, sorry, has got a pole, and it's tied with a kind of straw like the one we've got here. Sometimes we use rye, sometimes we use other things, but we tie them like what I will do now. Is just take the things together. Don't know if it's okay. Okay, Theo. And I'm turning, and okay, that's done. And then after, you can cut the top and remove all shots like this. So as you can see, I will try to find here we are on a Altesse grape variety. Flower has been very well done. As you can see, these are the berries that are going to grow in the year. If you make an analysis, you can see that almost all berries are good. You can see that already these ones are getting bigger. Very few are not open. Some, just to show you the difference, this is one which is a bit late. This one, you can see the flowers, maybe the pistil inside that will become a berry, and outside the stamens, I think you call them like this, around. It's very hard. Sometimes people think that when you see, okay, I will take something. My finger is too big, sorry. Up, it's better. It's not useful, this one. This is before flowering. It's very hard when you're not a specialist, because it looks like exactly like after flowering, like this one. And on the same grape, you can have some that are flowering, some that didn't flower yet, and some that are going to, when you can see the flower will come. Like I will do it, but maybe you can't see it. I will take away, remove the cap on top of the berry itself, of the pistil. So, okay, it has gone. You've got the stamens. So, of course, as you imagine, I'm not doing this on each berry. That's something that somebody asked me once, but really not possible. I'm joking once more. So this is the ancient way was simply used because the vineyards, well, in Montagneux, the vineyards existed about 4 or 5 centuries before. There were, however, some vineyards even during the Gallo-Romance time, but we don't know which vineyards were there. But 4 centuries ago, Altesse was already here. And at that time, they had no wines. They had to cope like in many places, because I found photographs from Champagne from the end of the 18th century, end of the 19th century, sorry, where it was still grown like this, like in Côte-Rôtiste, which means one pole, one wine stock. But we now plant with wines so as to do the things quicker. For example, when the next thing we will do will be like in Peillot region, is take the wines, put them a bit higher. Okay, take the second wine, one wine on each side, put it here, and everything will go inside. So you don't have anything to tie, you don't have anything like this to do. It's very easy, and everyone can do it. So I mean, people that we employ can do it. So that was a very quick well, a show of the vineyards directly. Say if we walk a bit, that's the way that's what Peillot did today. We've been cutting the weeds, not each row. Some row we leave it, sometimes not. And as you can see, everything is going very quickly. In the vineyards down here, we have seen Altesse. Now the vineyards are Chardonnay. These grapes are Chardonnay grape variety. I planted some Chardonnay. These ones were planted in 1988 with my father. Simply, that was, let's tell about this story a bit. The point was that we were making natural sparkling wine at that time till 1982, which was done only with Altesse. But people at the time were not didn't like anymore the sediments, the small leaves that were in the bottles. So we had to change the way to produce the wine into instead of pet nat, we had to change to champagne method. Well, traditional method. We've got to say the words now. And the first thing we did was in 1982. That was the first sparkling we did, champagne method. Was not so nice. That was pure Altesse. And the Altesse of 1982 was great, really great as a still wine, but was really had really too much flavor, really too much taste, and sparkling increased the taste. So the wine was almost, the sparkling wine from the Altesse 1982 was almost too heavy, almost too, I think sparkling must be light and really tasting very easy. Not if you have a glass, you need to drink a second glass. That's my way of thinking about the sparkling. So I decided to plant some Chardonnay, and so we invite Sirius, Theo's dog, and Theo's and Cindy's dog. He comes. Hello, Sirius. So we decided to plant some Chardonnay because we were sure that Chardonnay was working very well with sparklings, champagne, of course. And by the way, my first training period was at Cave de Viré, where my very good friend Henri Goyard is. Maybe probably one of the first one go working with Joe Dressner and Denise and Kevin. So I knew that Chardonnay was good. So we planted about, that was 50 R. I never remember about acres, sorry. Half an hectare, knowing that a hectare is 10,000 square meters. And we planted Chardonnay to blend it with Altesse. That was the result, was very good. So we did from 1982, no, that was later, 1986 for the oldest Chardonnay, 91, 92 for the first harvest we did on that plot. Then we made our first sparkling, which were very different from the old Altes. Everybody was happy, customers, and I was quite happy. Simply, I had to leave a bit of my mind while introducing a grape variety not coming from my region into my sparkling wine. But I found no other solution. And in 2008, we had a new plot, Theo. We had a new plot of Mondeuse close to that we planted, which is next to the Altes that we've seen. So it's not obvious to see the difference, but I think you can notice this is how we planted it. So this is the last row of Altes with maybe if you come that way, with very green leaves, dark green. Some are not so dark, but you've got very dark green leaves, and the woods that are red sometimes. So that was the last row. And the first row of Mondeuse we planted here, of new Mondeuse we planted, was that one, which is not the same shape, of course, of the leaf. Yeah, well done, Theo. Fantastic. Mondeuse, and let's say take a nice one. Okay, you can see the difference. So they're very different. And the Mondeuse, and planted in 2003, the very hot year, and when for 2008, so we had a crop, but 2008 was quite cold, and we decided not to make so many reds. My father told me at the time that he once did, in the ancient time, he once did a white wine with a red Mondeuse, of course pressed immediately, not sparkling, but he remembered of that wine that was having quite a flavor of small raspberries or strawberries, things like this. And then we decided to try and make a big experiment, because it was almost on whole harvest of 2008. And that was the beginning of the new Montagneux and the new, I don't like to say recipe, but the new way we decided to do. So Altes and Mondeuse were becoming the two main grapes varieties in the blend of the Montagneux. Chardonnay still is in the Montagneux, but not for, depending on the year, from let's say 10 to 15%. Mondeuse is at the moment, because it's the most important thing we've got at home, is more than 50%, and well, 40, let's say 30 to 40% of Altes. This is the blend of the Montagneux. So many people start speaking about the history. I started to speak directly from the vineyard, so I got to get back to the history. As I told you, Bugey was a place where vineyards existed for a long time, and till 1949 there were about 20,000 hectares in Bugey, which represents the same size as Beaujolais was in the 10 last years. Beaujolais was probably more than this. Of course, do not forget that at that time, Bugey was probably more than the house of very simple wine, table wine, where for each day drinkers. The rest was already quality wine, but not as well known as the Bugey is, well, even if it's very small area, because now it's only 500 hectares. Montagneux, the Cru Montagneux, is only 30 to 40 hectares. So not a lot is left. So that's why you can see that all what is around here was almost plenty of vineyards, even till the forest at the top. So what is the limit was very high. Here I'm at about 320 meters. The top is 600 meters, and the vineyards were going till 450 to 500 meters. But as I told you, many people, many French people were drinking a lot of wine at the time. We cannot compare everything the same way. Coming back to what happened, and it's in the 50s. Well, it's of course phylloxera, but not only. The very important plants, concrete, cement, well, concrete, I think you say in English or in American. Concrete plant came and employed 800 people. So that was in the 1950s, and many wine growers at the time realized it was safer, and also you got more money if you go to the plant. By chance, these people were hard workers, and they carried on working in the vineyards and also in the plant. Their sons and daughters, mainly their sons at that time, stopped working in the vineyards little by little. And well, we lost a lot of vineyards in Montagneux. Nowadays, you've got young people. I will introduce soon Theo, which is my partner, as I told you, Theo Bonnard. We've got quite a lot of young people who get interested in the wine and who work very hard also and very well. So it's good for the budget. It's good for old people like me to hear and to see that. So the luck, the things, I think we're very lucky in a certain way, because as you can see, you don't have a lot of vineyards. Everything around is natural. So I think it's the greatest thing we could have as being in terms of biology, of ecology. I think it's fantastic, because well, of course it would be a bit better if we could have twice these size of vineyards, but it's so nice to have, I mean, some fields or some flowers and some trees not too far, and I think it's good for the vineyards also. So but I don't want to be too long either, and that I don't want to. I can explain you a bit more about the way in history what happened. Many people in our region were coming to Montagneux to grow their own vineyards, coming from about 10 to 20 kilometers around. Sometimes they were coming from the top of the mountain. The last mountain right at 20 kilometers is 1,000 meters high. So it's too high for the vineyards in our region, not in Spain, but in our region, yes. And well, of course, these people at the time, they didn't come by car. They were walking down or coming by bike or horse most of the time. So they were staying in what we call a grangeon, which is a very small house with one room, one cheminée to make fire in it and to be able to cook. The bed, of course, to sleep. And they were staying a few days to dig the vineyards, to prune the vineyards. It was not like now where you can see people making 10 kilometers like we do, sometimes 50 kilometers to get to their vineyard, and sometimes hundreds of kilometers in Australia, probably. Well, it's not that was not the same. People were coming in Montagneux. They knew the place was good. They wanted to have their vineyards in here, but there were plenty of these small houses in called grangeons. That's something very special from the region. They call it Sarto in Savoie. Well, maybe I will introduce you to Theo. That will be a relief for me, even if I speak right. I think it will be okay. So I'm changing. We're changing. I'm taking the cab.
So hello, I'm Theo, the new business partner from Franck. I'm on the estate since 1 year. It will be 1 year in August. So I make my studies here in Montagneux. I come from Montagneux. My father is working in a vineyard. He has his vineyard on Montagneux, and I do my studies in the Beaujolais, and I still work in the estate from Franck, and for 3 years. After that, I work like a simply worker with Franck for 2 years, and after that, Franck told me if I want to work with him and to come on the estate to take my own decision and our own decision, and I decided to say yes because Montagneux is a really beautiful place and a really beautiful vineyard, and we have really good grape variety, special and difficult grape variety. As you can see, it's really hard to grow up all the vineyard because it's really high and it's really hard because we are working with hands. We can't go with some machine in the vineyard because it's too hard. So I decided to come here because it's a challenge, and I see that I can stay here for long years with Franck, and after that alone or with my girlfriend, because my girlfriend do studies in the wine world too. So that's the thing that I want to do.
So we're walking down into the, I don't like to call it the estate, neither the domain. Let's go to Cave Peillot, and it's a pity I can't make a virtual wine tasting. That would be great to share a glass of wine with all of you.
Well, Franck, it would be very nice to see the cellar where you make the method traditionnel. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit more about your work in the vineyards, what you do through the year? I see that there's grass. So what is your idea of how to work the soil in your vineyards?
Yeah, well, still, I've been, people who know me, and you know me very well, and people who know me very well know that I like to tell the truth most of the time. That way it's not too hard. When you say lies, it's very heavy. I don't have a good memory, so I can say the same lie twice again. So, in fact, I'm working the better I can, the more natural I can, but we are not in pure organic system. We're doing a lot of job but we still have places that are too hilly where really even some people cannot walk in it. You know, Kevin, how it is. Denise, of course, knows. Jules knows also. So sometimes we're doing with chemical products also, but the minimum as we can, and with only one aim, and that is very easy to prove, is that I do not want to have any residual of chemistry in my wine. So I'm ready to. I already proved with different analyses, very complete ones, done by 2 or 3 big labs in France, excel on so that I can join some natural wine groups, even if I'm not a specialist. So we mainly use things like, well, let's show it to you. That would be easier. We will see what we're doing in terms of mechanical system of working to work in the vineyard. So now we are just taking the small road coming to our barn. Let's call it a barn, even it's not a real barn. I'm not, sorry, I don't have all my words in technical words, of course, and even other language. So, for example, this morning, Theo did 2 different things. We started. He started with this to cut the grass, what we call a gyrobroyeur, as you can see written it, with a very old tractor, but quite efficient one when it's not here. We've got to change a few things on it, but that will be done for tomorrow. And so cut the grass, leave the grass growing, and in between the rows, we've got the biggest one, which is this one. And to go under the lines, we remove the grass with these 2 things that open. Well, I can't show it now, and that's not the point. And so if we need, we can add different things to do in between the row. These 2 ones are only here to work on the row. Theo is really wonderful, let's say the word, because he will probably decide little by little to get more and more natural, and is someone like I did before, but he's someone who is very efficient and who doesn't matter even if it's when it's very hard. So we are doing on our own many things. I think we've got to be farmers before being wine makers. We've got to be wine growers. That's always what I meant, to be wine grower before being winemaker. That's not a word I really like. So this one, yeah, is coming to something else. They always showing a bit of you.
Franck,
and, yeah.
Apart from doing the intercepi, the intercep, do you turn the soil at this time of the year or at other times of the year? Do you ever plow?
So if
do you work
plow
the soil? Yeah, plow. Yes.
No, we try. We do everything that is too deep. We leave it. I do not believe that we've got to we only plow. We've got to plow only before planting, so as to prepare the soil. We never plow anymore. We used to do so with my father, and you can see Cindy, Theo's friend who is coming. So we used to do so, but we don't do it anymore because hi, Cindy. Hi. And it's because I think it's not useful, and moreover, it's okay when you've got weeds in between. I do not mind this. There was an old yeah. It's not a problem to keep it, cut it, or to roll on it. Well, that's something that's for us quite interesting. And well, Theo is knowing really a lot more than I. What I know is what I learned in the vineyards, because Theo has got a high level of 3 years after the A level, specialized in licence and so on. So what I learned here was only by myself, because I was not done to become I didn't aim at being wine grower.
Franck, somebody asks if you have considered trying to resurrect the sparkling Altesse Pet Nat that was the old style of wine from the region.
It still is in my mind, and I think Theo is little by little getting more and more influenced by myself, and I think we will try it once again. And you know, I've got to tell you something. I'm speaking too much, but it's very interesting for me to say it. The first time when we decided to work with natural yeast, because we worked before 1980, we're working together till 1998, if I'm right. And before, till 1998, I was using industrial yeast with my father. And then, so one day, someone, you know him very well, was, I'm quite sad, I'm quite a bit sorry about that. I'm very sensible. This guy was Joe Dressner. And Joe simply said a word, ending his tasting, and he said, yeah, okay, Franck, you're making your wine with industry yeast. Yeah, it's sure, of course, like your father did before. And he didn't argue anymore, didn't say anything else. And they left with the knees. And, you know, during the days after, I say, my father couldn't do that because it's true. Why didn't I think of this before? I mean, you couldn't buy dry yeast before in the 1950s or in the 1940s. That was not possible. My grandfather couldn't either. Well, I think that will be the same with Pet Nat. I think the real Pet Nat will be born once more thanks to America.
That's great. And
yeah,
with the chemical that you're using, is it an anti-fungicide? Is it a fungicide or herbicide or for mildew?
We use once a year. We didn't have time to go into the steepest part of what we have seen are all plots that we can work with a tractor. I didn't say that everyone can work with a tractor. I and Theo and some other people can. Most of my wine growers friends couldn't come in here. Most of them say you are crazy. But we can use the tractor. In some steeps, very steep vineyards, we can't. So in these, we use once a year a weed killer. And we, otherwise, depending on the products I use, my aim is and my mind is done on only one thing, is to stop using any product. I mean, for me, there is no natural product. Okay, never mind if I say things differently than the others. Copper is not a natural product. Sulfur is not a natural product. Everything is the nature, of course. But arsenic, I don't know if you know it, I don't know how you call it in English, is also in nature.
Arsenic is the same.
Is also a natural product and a pure product. I wouldn't like to have even a little spoon of arsenic. But I mean, we stop using as soon as we can in the year the chemical products. And I think the only way to manage to do this, to stop to use the product, is to have the most efficient one. That's my point of view. So that if you stop, I think we will do our last spraying, maybe the next one on Monday, or in 15 days. That will be all together. That will be 4 sprayings. Maximum 4 spraying.
Got it.
So you know what I mean? If you stop spraying, last year, I can tell you that for last year, we're speaking about this with Theo an hour before. Last year, we stopped spraying before my holidays. My holidays started on the 14th of July. That was our last spray last year. So that's what I like. That's what I like in my way. Maybe I'm not right. Maybe nobody knows. That's what I'm sure. But I'm sure it's as good as if you use copper till the end of August. Arsenic. How arsenic is natural? Because it's in the first. If you learn the table of in chemistry, you know that you've got arsenic, you've got
It's,
Huh?
yeah, it's an element on the element.
An natural element.
Yep.
And you can also find it in nature because you've got it in, tell me, in many seeds, like in apricots. Do not try to eat too much apricot seeds. If you cut them and eat them, things are very dangerous sometimes. Nature is a good friend, but you've got to take care of it.
So Frank, we're running out of time, but so we'll say, yeah, I think if anybody has any more questions, you can ask. But in the meantime, I'm going to say thank you very much. This was amazing. It was great to see you.
Okay,
it was an amazing visit.
you.
Your vineyards are beautiful.
Thank you.
Everything is just great.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everybody.
Everybody's saying thanks. So thank you, Frank.
Yeah,
thank you, Theo, also very much for your great camera work too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for importing the wines, and thank you to all the buyers that believe in our wines, because I've got to say that Altes is probably more well known in the States than in France, and probably thanks to the job you did, Kevin, Denise, Jules, and all of you.
Thank you, Frank. À bientôt. Okay.
À bientôt. Bye.
Do I mention Jean-Paul Brun to get $10 more?
Oh yeah. Say Jean-Paul Brun.
Yeah, okay, so let's say that Jean-Paul Brun, in fact, I wanted to say Jean-Paul Brun and Jean-Paul Brun. Let's get to 60 Jean-Paul Brun. I'm not sure to get paid because Jean-Paul Brun is sometimes quite looking for each dollar he spends. By the way, Jean-Paul, Jean-Paul Brun, if you can give me back the $10 I lent you a few years ago, that's okay. I'm looking out like Jean-Paul Brun. Somebody told me also yesterday. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Theo. We'll see you later. Okay. Great.